The American dream is a belief that everyone in America has equal opportunity and has the ability to achieve anything they set their mind to, regardless of social class. It was first popularized by James Truslow Adams in his 1931 book, The Epic of America. The American dream's origins, however, date back to long before 1931. The Declaration of Independence, written in 1776, explains that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In this video, we will be looking at how the American dream has changed over time, starting in 1931 and working our way up to the present. In the eyes of many Americans in the 1930s, achieving the American dream simply meant doing three things: getting married, having 2 children, and living in a house with a stereotypical white picket fence. During the Great Depression of the early 1930s, the American dream became a goal Americans could work towards during these tough times. In addition to James Truslow Adams, there were many other authors during this time that wrote books about the American dream and the Great Depression, such as F. Scott Fitzgerald, author of The Great Gatsby, and John Steinbeck, author of books like Of Mice and Men and Grapes of Wrath. These books are still taught in schools today for their messages about the American dream. In the 1940s, the term began to become even more popular. The Great Depression had ended, and when World War II started in September of 1939, many men left their jobs to go fight in the war, and many of their wives took their place in the workforce. The American dream was more or less the same, but higher standards were being set, and society changed greatly during this time. TV shows started to pop up, spreading the idea of living in suburban neighborhoods, and the GI Bill of Rights helped many veterans to start or continue their education and to buy homes. In the late 1940s, when World War II had ended, the first wave of feminism was starting, and it began making its way into the American dream. Many women who took the places of their husbands found themselves seeking other jobs when the war was over and their husbands took their jobs back. Women had the opportunity to not only find a husband and start a family, but also to seek out a job and work hard to achieve the dream without needing a husband to make money. In the 1950s, the definition of the American dream began to shift. Not only did it include marriage, 2 children, and a white picket fence, but it also began to include having a dog and a television in every room in the house. The American dream is being influenced by new opportunities that arose after the end of World War II. Futurism began to influence it as well, with the beginning of the space race in 1955. People wanted to see new and better technologies that would improve the quality of life. While family values and working hard were still the basis of the American dream, the dream was certainly expanded to include more things. With the civil rights movement of the 1960s, as well as anti-war protests which drastically changed the nation and its views, the American dream began to shift even more. It began to focus more on the peace, equality, and greater good of the whole nation rather than on the success at the individual or family level. In Martin Luther King Jr.'s 1963 Letter from Birmingham Jail, as well as his 1963 I Have a Dream speech, he explains that the civil rights movement is deeply rooted in the struggle of African Americans to achieve the American dream. As the 1970s came, though, this definition began to fade away as the civil rights and anti-war movements were achieved. In the 1970s, advertisers began using the term American Dream more in their advertisements, and housing prices started to grow. Soon, people started to associate the American Dream with home ownership, and the definition focused once more on the family, although many still defined world peace as being one part of the American Dream. As technology developed even more, many Americans found themselves wanting higher quality of life. The cell phone was invented in 1969, and computers were becoming a practical household item. As prices of houses increased, the focus of the American dream was now more on living a carefree life and making money, instead of having a spouse, 2 children, a dog, and a white picket fence. With money, you can buy much more than just a house. You can buy anything. With money, you can afford to have fun. In 1983, the Advanced Research Projects Agency Network, or ARPANET, adopted the TCP/IP system, and researchers began to create a network of networks that would eventually become the modern internet. In the 90s, the American dream is similar to what it was in the 1980s, but with more of a focus on having money, power, and fame. People were focusing less on achieving world peace with the end of the Cold War and the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. Many people began to invest in the internet as it was becoming more widely used. The American dream is now very much associated with consumerism, the social and economic order of acquiring goods and purchasing services in ever-increasing amounts. Many websites define the American dream as working hard towards being debt-free and having nothing to worry about. Instead of having to work for luxuries, people are now working hard to get rid of their worries. The percentage of people attending college is higher than ever before, and so are the education prices. The American dream is now not to have a job that gets you rich and famous, but to have a job that pays off all the college debt, as many employers now see a college degree being as mandatory as having a high school diploma. That's it for me. Thanks for watching. Now pull out the old standard YouTube outro. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, consider giving me a good grade, and make sure to tell your friends, family, grandparents, great-grandparents, dogs, and garden hoses about how great this video is. Be sure to share the video on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, MySpace, Snapchat, Twitch, Reddit, and Google+. Take care. Bye.